We've only got 13 games left until the end of the 2024 and 2025 English Premier League season, and somehow Manchester United is still 13th on the table. To put that into context, United are closer to relegation than they are to the top 4 in terms of points, and even the manager Ruben Amorim has admitted that this Manchester United side is probably the worst team in the club's history.
The opponents are better than us in many details, that we cannot be consistent. We are being the worst team, maybe, in history of Manchester United. I know that you want.
But how did we get here? How did Man United become so bad? To understand the frustration of United's fans, we first need to understand the complexity of the club's problems. Being a Manchester United fan sucks right now because of the compounding effect of some deep-rooted issues. If you're just waking up from a coma, let's bring you up to speed right now. Manchester United used to be the best team in England for years, so much so that despite a decade of collapse since Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement, the club is still the most successful club in the history of English football. Well, arguably because Liverpool fans would argue that they've won more Champions League titles and all. But the point is, for so long, Manchester United has been the reference point for success among the biggest clubs in the world. From Sir Bobby Charlton leading the club, to its first European Cup, to Solskjaer's last-second winner in '99, to the 2008 Champions League and Premier League double. The club has always delivered when it mattered most, but not so much lately. Those chants of "Glory, glory, Man United" feel like a distant memory, and United fans are now stuck in a never-ending cycle of disappointment and embarrassment, no less. The Glazers have been in power since 2004, and as you might guess, the Red Devil supporters are far from happy with their ownership. And if you're wondering why, it's because the Glazers started off on the wrong foot by plotting a takeover that cost United over £1 billion in interest and additional fees. You see, the family financed their purchase of the club using loans secured against Manchester United's assets, so it brought a lot of debt to a club that had been debt-free since forever. This naturally pissed everyone off. During Fergie's time, United somehow managed to build world-class teams despite having financial limitations and a lack of world-class infrastructure. But you could tell that the club was going in the wrong direction because the ownership started to prioritize profits over long-term success. Since 2013, it's been a disaster on and off the pitch. Horrible transfers, zero long-term planning, and a club being run like a business. Fans had increasingly become frustrated with the poor ownership until recently. In December of 2023, it was officially announced that Sir Jimmy Ratcliffe's Ineos would be securing a part stake in the club. Although that stake is only 27.7%, it comes with taking charge of Manchester United's football operations. Ineos paid over £1.3 billion for this stake, and in return, Ratcliffe gets to call the shots on everything football related. But remember that the Glazers are still in charge of every other thing, including finances and commercial operations. The arrival of Ineos came with the promise of the future, to restore United to its glory days on the top of English, European, and world football. Ratcliffe put several cost-cutting measures in place. Just a few months in, Ratcliffe had to justify ending Ferguson's role as a £2 million a year ambassador as part of cost-cutting measures implemented across the board. Not to mention that he also made about 250 employees redundant. The move was seen as a lack of respect for Fergie and other employees. But despite all the stringent measures in place, Ratcliffe has also begun to see just how difficult it is to manage the state of affairs at Old Trafford. After sacking Erik ten Hag in favor of Ruben Amorim, United's results haven't gotten any better and the club is still very much down in the weeds. For better or for worse, Man United's poor leadership has had a trickle-down effect on the squad culture. The squad culture at Old Trafford seems a little toxic at times. Gone are the days when we had the likes of Roy Keane, Rooney, Ferdinand, Vidic, Ji-Sung Park, the kind of players who set the standard and made sure everyone gave 100%. These players were literally ready to put their lives on the line back in the day. These days, however, what you see is a squad stacked with average and overpriced talents who did not seem like they know what it means to give 100%. It almost seems like they're in it just for the paycheck. Fans have complained that the current squad has a lack of accountability, leadership, and a real connection to the fans. United have the second highest squad payroll in the Premier League. the squad is paid about £3.6 million per week, whereas the Liverpool squad is paid less than £2.5 million per week. The Red Devils have the highest paid defense and second highest paid attack, which is a little crazy. The sad part is that many of Manchester United's players are signed until 2027 or 2028, which means that it'll be a little difficult to sell them because hardly any club will be able to match those wage demands. You also get the feeling that Manchester United's signings over the last couple of years haven't exactly been much better solutions. For instance, we have Onana for David De Gea, Eriksen for Pogba, De Ligt for Varane, Xerxes for Martial, and Antony for Sancho, just to name a few. And then we've got Casemiro and Højlund, who haven't lived up to the expectations for a while now. So in reality, we have a bunch of expensive players who don't fit together. One week they're pressing high, the next they're parking the bus. Yeah, there's no identity, no consistent style of play, and worst of all, no fight. But why is this the case? I'll tell you. Every year a new manager comes in, tries to fix things, and then gets thrown under the bus. The cycle keeps repeating itself. Since Fergie left, United has burned through managers like a toddler with a matchstick. David Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer all came in to fix things and got sacked before they could see their vision through. Ten Hag was supposed to be the guy to finally break the cycle, and for a while it looked like he might. He won a bunch of trophies, qualified for the Champions League, and even beat City in the FA Cup final. But just like the others, he ended up getting axed. It goes without saying that if the same problems keep happening under every new boss, maybe, just maybe, the issue runs deeper than the dugout. United's sacking of Ten Hag cost the club £13.5 million. Seeing such a ridiculous amount of money go to waste after previously backing Ten Hag with over £500 million in the transfer market isn't a good look for Ineos and for the club. Signing different managers with different ideologies who then buy players to fit into their philosophy and playing style leaves you with a disjointed squad with different ideas of playing the game. It sucks to be a Man United fan at the moment because the players are low in confidence and they lack a consistent identity. The impact of Man United's instability on fans is that you never know what you're getting with each passing week. One moment you're losing 3-0 to Liverpool and Tottenham at Old Trafford, the next moment you're beating Manchester City at the Etihad, drawing Liverpool at Anfield, and beating Arsenal in the FA Cup. It really is a mixed bag, isn't it? Sometimes it appears that Man United plays really well against the big teams, but then they flip against the smaller teams that they should be beating. How do you explain those losses to Crystal Palace and Brighton at Old Trafford this year? And what about those inexplicable losses to Newcastle, Wolves, Bournemouth, and Nottingham Forest in December? If you've been following Man United closely, you would notice that the individual errors and the inability to handle pressure at home have often led to their collapse in these games, and it leads to a vicious cycle of poor performances and low levels of confidence. But what now? How do you fix a broken team? United wants to give Ruben Amorim some time to establish his philosophy and standards within the squad. The club ownership will also be looking to back the manager during the summer transfer window and hope for some improvement next year. For a while, it seemed like Erik ten Hag would be that guy, until it all came crashing down. Hopefully, this isn't going to be the case with Ruben Amorim. With the Ineos exclusive setup and the new manager hung up on fixing the cracks, there's a future to look forward to. Not to mention the likes of exciting young talents coming through. Manchester United fans will hope they can finally step off this emotional roller coaster.